this moment in hockey history, the Nashville Predators currently find themselves in fourth place in the Central Division. After 72 games played on the season, there are only 10 games left in the season. There are only 10 games left in the regular season. The Nashville Predators currently have a record of 43-25-4, 90 points. Has the Nashville Predators 4 points shy, the closest they have been to third place, which is an automatic qualifying playoff spot in the Central Division. There are 7 points from second place, 9 points from first place. Full Central Division update coming in moments. The Nashville Predators on the road, which is where their next game will take place, have a very respectable record of 22-10-3. As a matter of fact, those 22 wins on the road represent second overall in the Central Division behind just the Dallas Stars by 1. Predators have scored 236 goals this season. They've given up 210 against. That's a goal differential of plus 26. The Arizona Coyotes are the Nashville Predators' next opponent. We'll get into the week ahead for the Preds, the season recap of the series between these two. We'll talk a little Arizona Coyotes hockey, and then we'll get you the stats, the goaltending matchups before the end of this preview segment. Now let's talk about those statistics, because with 10 games to go in the season, it is of critical importance that we go through every single one of these lines, except for the bottom two. The Dallas Stars are currently in first place in the Central Division after 73 games skated. They have skated the most overall in the Central Division. Everyone else is at 72, Minnesota at 71, but the Central Division is all very even in games played right now, except for the Dallas Stars, who played one more game than everybody else. With 45 regulation victories, the Dallas Stars are in first place with 99 points. They are 2 points ahead of the second place Colorado Avalanche with 1 game in hand, 97 points for the Avs in second. The Winnipeg Jets are in third place in the Central Division. They've also skated 72 games. Those games in hand that Winnipeg was sitting on and relying on for months have finally dissolved, and they have played the same number of games as everybody else in the 3-team weave and the teams below them. The Winnipeg Jets are at 94 points, so they have fallen 5 points behind the first place pace of the Central Division. Then the Nashville Predators will find themselves in fourth place, just on the outside of an automatic qualifying playoff spot. As a matter of fact, if the Predators were in the Pacific Division, they'd be in second place comfortably right now at this very moment. But in the Central Division, they are in fourth place, 90 points. Has the Preds 4 points behind Winnipeg for an automatic qualifying playoff spot, but well ahead in the wild card position. We'll update the wild card here in just a couple of seconds. St. Louis Blues in fifth in the Central Division are 10 points behind the Nashville Predators with 10 games to go in the season. Then you'll find the Minnesota Wild in sixth place with 77 points. And then the Arizona Coyotes have blossomed that little E next to their logo, which means they have officially been eliminated going into this next game against the Nashville Predators. They sit in seventh place. They have 65 points, and their season completely fell apart right around January the 24th. More on that coming up in just a second. The Blackhawks, also eighth and final spot in the Central Division, have been eliminated for some time now, 47 points on the season. Now, when it comes to the wild card, which is the most important standings right now for this Nashville Predators team, the Predators sit first in the wild card with 90 points. The Vegas Golden Knights are in the second wild card position with 86 points. St. Louis, first team on the outside, looking at 80 points. Minnesota, the second team, 77 points. And at this point, realistically, with 10 games to go in the season, everybody else is out of it at this moment in time. I don't even think that St. Louis and Minnesota are necessarily in it unless the Vegas Golden Knights suddenly drop back, and I just don't see that happening with the amount of talent they have on that squad. So the Predators have a 10-point cushion between themselves and the St. Louis Blues, which are the first team on the outside, looking in 4 points over the Vegas Golden Knights, and some important head-to-head tiebreakers as well. What does that mean for the Nashville Predators? Well, at this moment in time, if the playoffs were to begin, it would mean the Nashville Predators would be facing off against the Dallas Stars here in the first round of the playoffs, while the Vegas Golden Knights would be facing off against the Vancouver Canucks. That would plug the Preds into the Central Division bracket and the Vegas Golden Knights into the Pacific Division bracket, which is their home division brackets anyway, so it wouldn't be all that weird. Now, we've talked about the standings update, and we've talked about the importance of all of these things, and we've talked about how there's only 10 games left in the season. Let's talk about the Preds' week ahead to come. After this game on Thursday night in the desert, Saturday, they'll head off to Colorado for a critical Central Division game. Both of these are critical Central Division games. The Arizona Coyotes, newly eliminated, suddenly playing a little bit more free and loose. You have to be careful of that. Colorado Avalanche trying to win a division Division. Definitely going to be a difficult stop in Denver. Tuesday, back home at Bridgestone Arena to face off against, just throw the Boston Bruins into the mix. Why not? Easily one of the toughest games left on the Nashville Predators regular season schedule. Hey, let's make that a preview of a best-of-7 series that's going to happen sometime in June. Thursday, St. Louis Blues are in town. The Predators could possibly end the St. Louis Blues season on that night if the standings work out in the Predators' favor for the next couple of games. On the 6th of April, already in April, it's at the New York Islanders, and then on the 7th of April at the New Jersey Devils. So the Predators do have a back-to-back coming up in the next week plus ahead. Now, the Preds and the Coyotes are about to wrap up their 4-game regular season series, and this has been one of the wackier season series that the Predators have had so far. Just to give you the numbers, the Preds are 1-2 against Arizona this year. They've only collected 2 out of 6 points, and they have been outscored 14-12 by a team that is currently 25 points behind them in the standings. But for the Arizona Coyotes, it wasn't always that way. As a matter of fact, the Arizona Coyotes were in prime position as we crossed over into the new year and began play in January, but they, like their logo, have fallen completely off a cliff, embracing the spirit animal of Wile E. Coyote a little too literally in the standings for this Arizona Coyotes team. So let's talk about the season series, and let's drill down individually on the Coyotes, and we'll talk about the matchup and the statistics. These two teams met for the first time back on November the 11th at Bridgestone Arena. It was the Arizona Coyotes with 7, the Nashville Predators with 5 in that game. UC Saros gave up 6 of those goals and took the loss. Philip Forsberg, 2 goals and assists for 3 points. O'Reilly, Sherwood, Fabro also chipped in with goals. Connor Ingram came back to Bridgestone Arena, picked up the win with an improbable winning stat line, 37 out of 42. Carcone had 2 goals. Cooley had 3 assists, and Keller had 3 points in total. They dominated the Nashville Predators after the Predators got off to a great start, got out to a lead, and then just let that lead dissolve and then got pummeled later on. On the 20th of January, they would meet for the second time in Arizona for the first time. The Arizona Coyotes would get the victory on home ice, 3-2. Saros would get the loss again, 21 out of 24. Yossi and Novak are the goal scorers for the Predators. Ingram again defeats his old team, the Nashville Predators, 30 out of 32 in that one. And Keller, damage again, 2 goals, now 3 goals and 5 points total against his Predators team through 2 games. They'd meet a third time. It would be on February the 10th as the Nashville Predators were starting to gain momentum in this portion of the season schedule, and the Arizona Coyotes were starting to see things slip away before their very eyes. On the 10th of February, the third meeting of the season between these two teams, the Predators would win 5-4 in overtime. Saros would get the victory this time in his third attempt against Arizona this season, 27 out of 31. Forsberg, Novak, O'Reilly, Yossi, McDonough. So 5 different goal scorers for this Nashville Predators team. The Preds finally solve Connor Ingram, who goes 32 out of 37 and takes the loss in that game. So the Nashville Predators, again, to recap, 1-2 on the season, have only secured 2 out of a possible 6 points against Arizona and have been outscored 14-12. This is a very important 2 points. While the Arizona Coyotes have already been eliminated, they have the opportunity to do something that, frankly, they haven't been able to do as of late, and there's an example of exactly what concerns me. So let's flip over to the other side of this thing. Let's talk about the Arizona Coyotes for a minute. Coyotes have played the same number of games as the Preds on the season, 72. They have a record of 30, 37, and 5. 65 points has them, well, frankly, eliminated. And their home record is 19, 17, and 0, including a victory against this Nashville Predators team. They scored 213 on the season. They gave it up 236. That's a goal differential of -23. Now, here is what I have alluded to as part 1 of the Coyote story of the season. Coyotes were just cruising right along and looking like they were every bit a challenger for a wild card position in the Central Division this season in the Western Conference. And then on January the 24th, things just really, truly, and when I say fell off a cliff, I mean fell off a cliff. The Coyotes are 7-18-2 since January the 24th. 7-18-2. Again, they were competing hard for a playoff spot, and now they are eliminated. It happened that quickly. So the last 7 weeks for this Arizona Coyotes team have just truly been a miserable stretch. Now, taking out the 7-18-2 record, let's bore down on the most recent 5 because there is something in here that makes me concerned about this next game for the Predators. On the 16th of March, it was a 4-1 win versus the New Jersey Devils. The Devils have been in disarray, but better as of late. That's still a good victory for a team that's barely won in 7 weeks. On the 20th of March, a 5-2 loss at the Dallas Stars. Stars competing for a division title. That's always going to be a big one. On the 22nd of March, a 2-1 overtime win versus Seattle. Seattle's not that good right now. On the 24th of March, a 4-2 loss versus Dallas. So 2 losses in their previous 4 here, both to Dallas home and away. On the most recent game, the 26th of March, it was a 6-2 win versus the Columbus Blue Jackets. Now listen, the New Jersey Devils are not that great of a team, but they are fighting to try to get back in the wild card picture here in the final games of the season. The Columbus Blue Jackets have been miserable all season long, have been eliminated. The Dallas Stars are fantastic. The Seattle Kraken are So the Arizona Coyotes have managed to win 3 games out of their last 5, and the only 2 losses coming against the Dallas Stars, who have 99 points and are competing for the Central Division title. I see a trend of a team that's been eliminated and who has nothing left to play for other than future positions on the team, potentially millions of dollars in their careers based on other GMs getting a chance to take a look at them here at the end of the season as they might be free agents. And for the Arizona Coyotes, the only joy probably left is being spoilers. And that's where they have an opportunity to come in here and wreck the Nashville Predators' current point scoring streak, which is a record for the Nashville Predators franchise. But that 6-2 win versus the Columbus Blue Jackets, a lot of fun there out in Arizona as a certain familiar name in Doan, the next generation, has now made his debut and is making things happen out there. So for the Arizona Coyotes, while defeating the Columbus Blue Jackets 6-2 isn't all that impressive, winning any game for the Arizona Coyotes is impressive, and they're playing a little bit more free, a little bit easy, and playing a little bit more of their youth. That means the Nashville Predators have to pay attention to the minuscule details of this game if they want to keep the point streak rolling, and obviously they do. That team's fighting hard out there. Let's talk about the matchup in the NHL ranking between these two teams. It is going to be the Nashville Predators leading the goals for category 3.25 per game. I believe that's the highest it's been all season long. That's 12th best in the NHL. The Arizona Coyotes are at 2.93 goals per game. That's 22nd. 2.92 goals against per game is 10th best in the NHL for the Nashville Predators. Goals against for Arizona is 3.28. That's 22nd overall. Shots for Nashville, 31.6 is 10th best in the league. Shots for Arizona, 27.4 is 28th. In the shots against category, 30.1 is 18th overall in the National Hockey League for the Nashville Predators, while 31.8 for Arizona is the 24th rated shots against category. In the special teams categories, it is the Nashville Predators power play rated 20th overall in the NHL, 20.3% is their conversion rate, 48 conversions, 237 opportunities, but the Arizona Coyotes are 6 points ahead of the Nashville Predators on the power play at 14th in the league, 22% conversion rate, 47 conversions on 214 opportunities, so only 1 less power play goal overall, a much better conversion percentage for Arizona. On the PK, the Nashville Predators are ahead of Arizona, but not by very much. Both of them in the lower third of the league. The Nashville Predators penalty kill rate is 77.2%. That's 21st in the league. They've given up 49 power play goals against Arizona's PK is 76.5% kill rate, 25th overall in the league, 4 spots behind Nashville. 56 power play goals against. That is a very, very high number. So aside from the power play and the top 6 metrics that we track in this particular part of the preview, the Arizona Coyotes are on the bottom third of the league in 5 of those 6. The Nashville Predators are in the top 10. 10 counts as the top 10. They're in the top 10 in 2 of those 6 categories, so in the top third of the league, and they are at least in the top 2/3 of the league in 5 of the 6 categories that we track here in the preview. So the Nashville Predators have certainly helped themselves in the standings and in a number of other categories. They look like a much more impressive team than they did back at the turn of the year. Now, when it comes to individual statistics, we all know about every one of these teams in the NHL. They are full of high-skilled individuals. And I look at a team like the Arizona Coyotes, only 65 points, eliminated from the playoffs. But I see on the top of their stat line, Keller, who has done much damage against this Preds team this year. 30 goals, 30 33 assists for 63 points on the season. His 30 goals represents tops in that category, but not tops in assists, tops in points, of course. Schmaltz is at 20 goals, 32 assists for 52 points on the season. Michelli has done some damage against his Preds team this year, 12 and 36 for 48. Bukestad, 19 goals, 22 assists for 41 points. And Kerfoot, 11 goals and 27 assists for 38 points. Over on the other side of the ledger, because of some of the red-hot offensive streaks that some of these players have been on, some of these numbers are starting to look quite wonderful as a season total, and there's still 10 games to go. Forsberg is now at 40 goals, plus 41 assists, 81 points on the season. 40 goals represents the team lead, and he is also the second time in his career that he eclipsed 40 goals, and the first player in franchise history to reach the 40-goal plateau 2 different times. The captain, Roman Josi, leads the team in assists with 54. You add his 19 goals to that. Red-hot streak as of late has him all the way up to 73 points on the season. Gus Nyquist has reached the 20-goal plateau, and he also has 45 assists, a career high, and 65 points. That is a career high as well for Nyquist. O'Reilly reaches the 25-goal mark, plus 36 assists now for 61 points on the year, and Tommy Novak is at 15 and 24 for 39. Anticipated goaltending matchup sees UC, Saros, and these numbers have become so much more impressive now that the Predators have been on such a long point-gaining streak. Saros, his overall record, 32, 21, and 4, a .909 save percentage, a 2.75 goals against average, 3 shutouts on the season. Connor Ingram, while the Coyotes have largely fallen off of the cliff, well, they have completely fallen off the cliff, not largely, they were eliminated. Connor Ingram's put up a really strong season, 19, 19, and 3 overall. He's got 2 victories against this Nashville Predators team, a .908 save percentage on the year, and 2.87 goals against. But listen to this number, and this deserves some incredible stick taps. 6 shutouts on the year. 6 shutouts in his 19 victories for Connor Ingram. That is highly impressive stuff and shows that he's fully capable of being a full-time starting goaltender in the NHL. If you put a better club in front of him, Connor Ingram could put up some really special numbers if he can carry a .908 save percentage, of 2.87 goals against average, and get to 6 shutouts again in a season. That's a really high number for any goaltender in the NHL to reach in just one season. That's going to do it for the preview of this game. Excited about this one. Late start time. Nashville Predators winding down the road schedule here. 2 of them coming up here, and then a couple of more up in the Northeast, and then the road schedule is finished for the season, and the home schedule is finished. It's only 10 more games to go for this Nashville Predators team before we start talking about the playoffs and we start previewing round 1 of the playoffs. I believe that's where the Nashville Predators will find themselves. I believe with a 10-point cushion and only 10 games to go, that the Nashville Predators are completely in control of their own destiny, and it would take a rather epic collapse, since I believe the stat is that no team that's reached 96 points has ever missed the playoffs. Brian Baston, get back on the show and tell me what that is. That's going to do it for the preview section of the show. Let's get back and talk about the last game against the Nashville Predators and what an incredible game it was. It was the Vegas Golden Knights at Bridgestone Arena. It's called the Rebirth Sports Full Game Recap, and we're taking you to it right after this on the Renegades of Buck podcast.